What's up, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing? Can you see me?
Oh yeah, I can see you, man. You doing all right?
There we go. I'm blessed, brother. I'm blessed. Always blessed. Hey, to everyone watching, don't adjust your sets. Yes, we are back. The floor is yours podcast. We took a break only to sharpen our swords, only to get better for you. And you know what? Since we back, we got to come with that fire. Thank you guys for allowing us a break. But now that we back, we come back stronger than ever. You know I can't do this by myself. I got my brother for another mother, the other half of the G Unit, Gerard. Flex, the producer, where is in the house? Say what's up to the good people.
Hey, what's up, great people, man? And hello to you, man. I know we haven't been talking that much. We've been kind of off and on
Hmm.
social media, but like you said,
Yep.
we've been fine tuning, man. We haven't just been lazy. We've
Right.
been putting up the work, making sure we bring back a more polished, more informational, more relevant product. So, man, it's good to be back, and it's good to share the screen with you, brother.
Man, it's always good to chop it up with you.
Yeah,
And while we were out, I'm sure you lived a little, I lived a little, life be life, and from that, there's always major takeaways when you take a break and you come back. And, one of the signs of knowing you're in the right place with the right people is that when you take a break, you can't wait to get back, and that's how I felt. Like, we took a little break, but we're back, and I just couldn't wait to get back on the screen again and hold these real and relevant conversations. And so
yeah,
thank you guys for tuning in. And for everyone watching, please tell everybody in your contact list, tell your brother, your sister, your mother, your cousin, your auntie, your play cousin, your baby mama, that the Floor is Yours podcast is on, and to tune in and to jump in these comments. We got a banger tonight, and we can't wait to get into it. But before that, we want to encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe to the Floor is Yours podcast so you don't miss a single conversation that we do. Now, tonight is going to be a unique conversation because it's one of those things that we all observe and we don't really talk about enough, or we talk about, but we're going to try to get to the root of it tonight. And so tonight's topic is the language of healing, but the heart of hurt. And so, what we mean tonight is how you have people who make these big, bold proclamations that what they've been through, they are over. So that relationship, the loss of a job, grief, anger, whatever it may have been, they feel like they have risen above, and now they're able to lend their advice to other people. But if you listen closely and you check closely enough to what they're actually saying, you can see that they're damaged still trying to help others. Now, I do have a belief system that broken colors still can color. Broken crayons still can color. So even in your brokenness, you can still help others. But
yeah,
you have to make sure that you're leaning more toward healthiness than the hurt. And so, as we see in these social media streets, people get on there and they put whatever situation that they had on blast. So, if it was a company fired them, guess what? It was their boss's fault. It was their coworkers were against them. It's everybody's fault but their own. There's no accountability. So tonight we're gonna talk about one of Gerard's favorite words, accountability, tonight, and how that shows up in unforgiveness and negativity. Have you ever seen any of that on social media, Gerard? People talking the language of healing, but still have a
yeah.
heart of hurt.
Yeah, in this information age, and you make a important distinction as you're talking about this, where the language is there, right? But the even the desire is there. But you said this quite
Hmm.
often, where the rubber meets the road is where the real work is, and sometimes you just
Yeah,
don't know until you try it again and
right.
again. So, but to your question, have I seen it all the time, right? And I
Hmm.
think people mean well often, but
Hmm.
if you going into the next season of your life, after the hurt, after the betrayal, after the trust issue, if you're going there with unhealthy boundaries or your guard up, you're going to say the right things. I've done the work. I'm in therapy. I'm protecting my peace at all costs. All this stuff sounds right, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, when you see
Right.
people, their behavior doesn't align with the words. So again, they can say that they're healed,
Right.
but when they say, "Hey, I'm not," here's some key points, right? When you hear people say, "I'm not worried about anybody but me," that's not healthy.
Ooh, yeah,
Stay away from me
that's not
if you don't
that's not
got
healthy.
anything positive to say. I'm like, that's a tall order, and it sounds
Right.
good, but it's not healthy. So it's one of those things right there. Like you really need to evaluate yourself, and just because you got the language, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you healed.
Exactly. And sometimes, a lot of people walk around as wolves in sheep clothing. And we have to be careful because it can be hurtful to other people who are listening to you. If you have a platform of any sort, people will look at you as someone with credibility. And you want to be careful to make sure that you're putting out good information. One example I remember a few years ago, there was a woman who was sitting in her car, doing, as everyone does in their car, making a post. And so she was talking about her ex-husband. And so this is what she said. She said, "I'm so happy for my ex-husband that he's remarried now and he has a wife that suits him." Okay, fair enough. So far, so good there. And she said, "Because he and I just couldn't match. I'm so glad now that he has a woman that is able to listen to what he says because I'm the type of woman that thinks for herself. And I don't need a man to tell me what to do and how to do it. But he now has a woman that when he says to go left, she goes left. When he says go right, she goes right. And that just wouldn't work for me. So I'm just glad that he finally found somebody that is willing to accept his leadership because I'm looking
Yeah,
for something different.
yeah,
You know, a strong backhanded compliment, right? So she's saying all the things. She's saying, "Hey, I'm glad that her ex-husband has found someone," and then she goes into all of these backhanded compliments. And so, one of the signs that you can tell that someone is speaking the language of healing, but actually has a heart of hurt, is when they show up with these backhanded compliments. Because a healed heart only wants what's best for all parties involved. The healed heart wouldn't feel the need to critique or criticize what someone
yeah,
else is doing,
yeah,
right? And so when you have these people talking like that, listen closely. Are they critiquing? Are they criticizing? Or are they accepting that everyone's on their own journey and I want to support them while they're on their own
another
journey?
piece of that too, just to name it. It's that passive aggressive, like you call it, backhanded
Hmm.
comments. Like, I'm glad he ain't my problem anymore. It's those kind of things right there. Or you know
Hmm.
what? They deserve each other. Right? That kind of thing right there. So yeah, you can really, really,
Yeah.
it's not always egregious language and behavior, but it'd be those little small little passive aggressive things that says like, you know what, I'm saying the right thing, but I'm really not there. And Gregory, I think you agree with me if I say that it's okay if you haven't healed, right? But that's when you be true with
100%.
yourself and
100%.
say like, hey, let me go and put in the work.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to still be hurting, but you want to acknowledge it, I mean, because you're not human if you haven't hurt at least once. All of us are going to catch it. The Bible says, "Count it all joy when you fall into
Yeah,
diverse trials." So even the Bible says, eventually, it's going to be everybody's turn. Everybody's going to catch catch some slings and some arrows every once in a while, and
yeah,
so that's normal, and that's okay to. It's okay to not be okay. But when you're not okay, make sure that you have a healthy community around you that can call you out and say, "I know you
yeah,
think you're okay, but by the way you're acting and the words you're choosing, it's showing
yeah,
us otherwise that you're not." I brought that particular example up because I often think how dangerous it is for, and particularly in our community, to degrade or insult one another. I think we have enough of that conversation going on, so that if you're still hurt, I encourage people not to speak from that hurt on social media platforms because it's just perpetuating this distance between Black men and Black women when we should be more unified. And we want to stop perpetuating that stereotype that Black men and Black women cannot get along and we're always are in bad spaces with each other, and
yeah.
that's not true. And so that could be
Yeah, and
dangerous as
you
well.
really, again, going back to where we said earlier, just identifying and naming what we're going through. It's the hurt, and you said it, like, being in this world, we're going to go through problems. That don't excuse anything that anybody does to us that's wrong, but I
Hmm.
think it just kind of shapes your perspective. That, you know
Hmm.
what, it might be my time or just in this season, and it
Right.
happens. And then when you're conscious of that truth, you
Hmm.
maybe you begin to even put yourself in that space and know that you've even harmed or hurt.
Mm-hmm.
done other people a certain way. And again, this is not an excuse, but
Right.
when you understand it that way and you realize, like, hey, hopefully that's just an exception. That's not
Mm-hmm.
all black men. That's not all black women. It's not all people anyway. But I
Right.
think understanding that could help you kind of get past the harm and the hurt and start doing the work.
Absolutely, 100%. Let's dive into where the root of all of this is coming from. Number one, it is ego. Number one, we don't want to look like we lost. We don't want it to look like, yeah, I got fired because I was tardy, 4 to 5 days a week, or I got dumped by my significant other because I wasn't a good partner, you know. And so a lot of it is we don't want to look bad for our own mistakes. And so
Yeah.
a lot of times when you find people who are speaking the language of healing, it's often because they are not taking accountability or don't want to accept their part in whatever negativity has happened to them. So it's
Yeah.
ego.
And that's huge because even if accepting their part is simply that I chose the wrong partner. I put up with toxic behavior for too long. Like
Hmm.
that's accountability, right? And that's not
Yeah.
saying or alleviating responsibility from the person that harmed you. But I think it's important to own your part. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. The only way to fix something is you have to face it. And what's also important in the process of healing is that your body and your spirit won't allow you to skip
Yeah.
steps. And so if you got right, so if you got dumped on Monday, you cannot expect to be healed by Wednesday. This is a whole long process where you got to confront your own insecurities and take accountability, or because when painful things happen, we do kind of ask ourselves, was I good enough? Was I smart enough? Was I qualified? Um, and then you look at those things and you have to rebound from that and go, you know what, I am good enough. That just wasn't my opportunity. That just wasn't for
Yeah.
me. That means there's other opportunities out there for me. So you can't skip steps. And so a lot of people want to rush the process, and what you find yourself doing is causing more
So
harm
let's
than
talk
good because you
about
just uh,
let's talk
letting it.
about what that could
Hmm.
look like in the confines of a relationship, right? So you want to prove that it
Hmm.
wasn't you, it was the other person. So you
Hmm.
quickly jump in another
Hmm.
relationship, like, hey, I'm with somebody that
Yeah.
honors me more and respects me more. And all that could be true, right? But if you
Hmm.
haven't healed or addressed the elephant in the room, right, it's you bringing some unaddressed, unhealed trauma to that relationship. And
Yeah.
not I shouldn't say guarantee, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to be looking and wondering, like, is that going to happen to me again? Because you have not purposed in your mind that you are good enough. Maybe just was in the wrong relationship, but you got to deal with it.
Right. Right, right, right. And you're 100% correct. You're going to bring those insecurities, which is a faulty foundation to build a relationship on, because you're looking in your rearview mirror and trying to look forward at the same
I like
time,
that
and
analogy,
that's
man.
not a
And hey,
healthy way
just
to.
a quick shout out to everybody out there. The comments are coming in. We see Tamika, we see Monica, a couple other people. It says name unknown, but hey, get the comments, questions, whatever. We appreciate you tuning in, and we promise you we're gonna get time to address your comments and questions.
Absolutely, 100%. I
Yeah,
love the comments. That's my favorite part.
so
Yeah. And then also, if you don't deal with those issues, and I know we've all heard this before, somebody else is going to pay the price for someone else's wrongdoings. And so, if you haven't healed and you're still skeptical of men and you think they're all dogs and they're all cheaters and they're all liars, if you haven't healed from that and grown from that, you could possibly mess up what could be a great partner, a great
yeah.
mate. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is innocent until proven guilty. But we enter into relationships, you're guilty until proven innocent. And that's unfair to the person who's really looking to start something and build a good
And
relationship.
it's
Uh,
I remember seeing on TV the statement, trust but verify, right? And it's almost a contradictory
hmm.
statement
Hmm.
and the way that it's actually used. And trust, and we say this all the time, trust is not a feeling, it's a decision, right?
Hmm.
And you can talk about
Correct.
the
Yeah.
discomfort of trusting. So yeah, if you can't, or if you decide not to trust somebody, I think that's a conversation to have, right, with the person. But understanding that trust is not a feeling, it's a decision. And if you're making the decision to not trust the person you're in a relationship, maybe you can talk about, why it is. Is it personal to myself, or is it the person that I'm in a relationship is not trustworthy?
I'm skipping ahead a little bit, and there's three ways you can tell that you have really healed, and one of them you just hit on, and that is your ability to be vulnerable in front of someone else. Because as long as you still feel like you need to be guarded, you need to kind of keep a little bit to
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
because you don't want someone to see those spots and those blemishes that you may have. You're not healed. One of the ways you can tell that you're healed is when you are looking forward to actually finding someone who you can fully open up to, or you don't feel embarrassed or uncomfortable with saying, "Hey, I know I'm not perfect. I need to maybe go to the gym more, or I need to work on my credit more, or whatever it may be." That's when you know you're healed, because you feel like I'm still worthy, special. I'm still someone who is important enough to be with, even in spite of maybe a low credit score or a few extra pounds, right? That's when you know that you're healed.
yeah. That's good. I like that one. I like that
Yeah,
one.
one of the ways. And so you definitely got to take the time. You cannot skip steps. But you're absolutely right. There seems to be like this overarching belief system that you have to rebound quickly. And I want to dispel that myth to anybody. There's no timetable on healing, like there's no timetable on grief. It just takes as long as it takes. So take as long as you need. And so if you just lost a job, or you're going through grief, or a romantic relationship just ended, it's just going to take as long as it takes. You don't have to be healed in 6 weeks or 6 months or even 6 years. The important thing is that you're doing the work. And what does the work look like? The work looks like you're investing in yourself. You're learning more things. You're experiencing new things. You're making sure that you're still connecting with people. You're not going into a silo all by yourself, but you still are experiencing life. And sometimes you do got to kind of force yourself to take a pottery class or go take a painting class just to get out the house and be around other people. But that's how healing happens. Healing doesn't happen in
And,
solitude. Healing happens in
yeah, yeah.
community.
And just to add some color to that on what it could look like too. When I went through, and I've been transparent about this, I've been through therapy for PTSD, combat induced PTSD. And one of the things that they do is they put these checkpoints in, if you will, just to use the military language. As they build this plan out, they're telling you, hey,
Hmm.
go spend, instead of going to the grocery store at 9 o'clock at night when it's empty, go at 2 o'clock on a Sunday, but only going 15
Oh yeah.
minutes. Go straight to the chips and dip aisle, get you some chips and dip, and get out of there. And then measure that,
Yeah.
right? How did you feel? How did you respond? Was you on guard? Did you interact with any people? So it's small stuff like that you take back to your therapist, your counselor, whatever, and you figure out like, hey, you know what? Not only did I survive, like I feel like I can go again, kind of thing, right? So you're learning what you're capable of as you're going through these processes. So just to add some color on what therapy could look like as you're going through trying to actually heal.
That is a good exercise. Sometimes you do have to put a strategy around how you're maneuvering,
Yeah,
because the flesh will want you just to lay in bed and pull the cover over your eyes. But in order to move forward, you do have to push yourself forward. And you mentioned earlier about people mentioning that or discussing they've been to therapy and they go to 1 or 2 sessions, and now they feel like they're Sigmund Freud, right? And now they can help everybody. But listen, the truth of the matter is this: going to therapy and saying you're healthy is just like going to the gym and saying you're fit. It only works if you're doing the work,
yeah,
right? And so you can go to therapy for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, but if you're not doing the work, it's not helping. I can go to the gym and stand against the wall. That doesn't mean I'm fit.
so let me add some of that because you're absolutely right. And just to add it to it, added part to it, doing the work and achieving the desired outcome. Because
Hmm.
you can do the work and it's not, producing the desired outcome. So you might have to,
Yeah.
and I said it because you might have to adjust. and try some. What works for one person may not work for the other. And I like that you brought that
Right.
up. So when I was looking up the information on that, they said it people that use therapy as
Mhm.
in that language of I'm healed, but truly not, they use it as a badge of moral superiority, right?
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to therapy, so hey, I must be wrong, right, and you're wrong, and they'll go and add this to the
Hmm.
conversation. And I'm sure you've had this when you're doing your sessions with your clients.
Oh man, all the time.
Hey, my counselor, my therapist said
Yeah.
XYZ, so if they're saying it and they probably not framing it the correct way, or
Right.
they could be, but to weaponize that act that you're going to therapies, that you tell me if you agree with it or not, that even shows that there's some healing that still needs to be done.
It's definitely counterproductive, right? And it is 100% dysfunctional because what it is, you're resistant to healing, and we gotta get into that also because this is this weird phenomenon that pain actually can become addictive. And so,
Yes.
take for
Yeah.
instance, yeah, and I don't think people are really fully aware of that. And once I learned that, I got a lot of empathy and sympathy for people who are grieving the loss of a loved one. And so, there's this ideal. Let's say hypothetically, someone lost their mother. One of the most cherished people in someone's life. There is sometimes this idea that if I heal, then it's disrespectful to my mother. So by me being sad is a badge of honor. Like I still honor my mother because I'm gonna stay sad that she's passed. Because if I'm happy, then that somehow is disrespectful to her. And so what you do, you find yourself in this cycle of this noble dysfunction. And what it is still dysfunction because you're not moving
Yeah.
forward. And people sometimes are resistant to healing because they feel a nobility about it. They make themselves a martyr, if you will,
Yeah, for sure.
and that's dysfunctional as
And
well.
that happens a lot in our community. I've said it and I've heard people say it before. Black people are strong, boy. We can go through stuff, and we're not like them, and we're not going to kill ourselves or harm ourselves.
Hmm.
And that's not true. Like we're susceptible to
Yeah,
the same, you know,
'cause we're
um,
human. Yeah,
yeah,
we're
just
human.
like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's this thing
yeah.
that being black means that you genetically, and I don't know, it could be some truth to that, but wearing it like a badge of honor, I think that's a mistake.
I think this, and I'm gonna say this kind of with a little bit of prejudice. I think we are the strongest group of people, but that doesn't mean that we're not impenetrable. Like that, we still have wounds and pains, things that can hurt us. I do think that we are the strongest group of people, but we can still feel pain
I
also.
think that's the issue. Like it's a double-edged sword. And Tamika, you remember they did the book, Black Women Aren't Strong, They're Resilient. The
Hmm.
fact that you have to
Hmm.
build this hard core, this skeleton, if you will, this
Hmm.
exoskeleton, because the world keeps doing stuff to you. And I know we kind
Yeah.
of built that way, where people put more pressure on the offended to be
Hmm.
strong, and then putting pressure on the offender to not offend people. So
Hmm.
you do. So I can agree that, just the nature of the history of this country,
Hmm.
black people can be the stronger, but I don't think that's a badge of honor either that we should want to
Hmm.
carry.
It is not. It is definitely not. But it does speak to our topic today. Speaking the language of healing, because in our
Yeah.
culture, one that we don't want to show weakness. If you listen to our music, now you and I grew up in the hip hop era, which was very masculine and misogynistic, and so we grew up in a time where being a man was being tough and no emotions, and so another reason why people want to skip the steps and jump to I'm over that. Because it's a lot of societal pressures to not look weak within our community.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, let's take a moment, man. The comments are coming. I want to get to a few of them before we go to the next
yeah,
topic, if it's okay with you.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we got speaking of Tamika, she's in here. And she said first, hello, gents. She was in her Energizer page, but she switched over to a personal one. She says you can't skip the steps. So earlier you
yeah,
was talking about that, like you got to go through the process. You want to
yeah.
take a moment, comment on that?
Yeah. And so one of the things that we try to skip over, I think, a little too soon, is you want to feel of all of the things or all of the pain. You want to allow yourself a good 24 to 48 hours of just grieving what was lost. Maybe it was a bankruptcy, maybe it was loss of a home, maybe it was a relationship, whatever it may be. You want to feel it all. Just don't be afraid to feel the hurt, to feel the pain. And that's one thing you got to do. Is got to first acknowledge that it hurt, experience the hurt, and then what you want to do next is, if you have a community around you, find someone that you can talk to and say, "This really sucks. This really hurts," and get it all out. Speaking it doesn't change it, but it does help it make it feel better.
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
just have a
that's
safe place, people do overcome pain and grief faster when they have a community around them. Okay,
yeah,
and so then there's step three, and this is the thing most of us actually skip. And you actually do want to create a strategy. You do actually want to get pen and paper and go, here are the things I'm going to do to improve myself. I'm going to, the first week, I'm just going to make my bed every day. I'm going to, start real easy. I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes. Something that is measurable and doable, right?
yeah,
Something you can do. What that does when you accomplish those small goals is that it builds confidence in yourself, in your own resilience. Guess what? I did make my bed every day this week, so I am important. I can do things, right? And so
yeah.
then after that, you want to push yourself forward by surrounding yourself by people in groups, taking up a new activity, do something different, read a new book, or go on a vacation. Just don't neglect yourself.
Good stuff, Dr. Gregory. I like that, man. So,
Hmm.
just kind of, I think that's a perfect segue into Monica's comment. Appreciate you, Monica. But she said maintenance
Appreciate you.
therapy is very important. You was describing that, but that was in response to when I was telling you I was in therapy and it was getting
Hmm.
me acclimated to going back into crowds. And that
Yeah.
maintenance part of it is a way that for some it works, right? So, you want
Right.
to take a moment to expound on that anymore?
Yeah, so this is why community is so important, because your community will tell you, I think it's time. Get someone to go, hey, Gregory, hey, Gerard, I think it's time. I think it's time you need to go to the movies. I think it's time you need to go try this new club or try this new restaurant. Because if left to our own devices, we may never want to move forward, depending
Yeah,
on how bad the pain is, right? And so you need a community that says, you know what? I'm not taking no for an answer, Gerard. I'm coming by. I'm picking you up. We're going to go get some hot wings, whether you like it or not. We're going
yeah.
to go.
I'm going
And
for
and and you need that. And you need that. So maintenance therapy is not neglecting yourself, right? It's making sure that you go get your hair cut. It's making sure that you are showering and that you are taking care of your immediate needs. You are doing your laundry, and so that you're sustaining a quality of life that is respectful to yourself.
That's beautiful. And then one day you look up and realize you've been doing this, 2 months after the pain, 6 months
Hmm.
after the betrayal, a year after the
Hmm.
divorce. And you're like, wow, you don't even realize it, but you've been getting it in. So that's important.
I have a good friend. So I went through a breakup a few years ago, and so she and I love music. And so what she did for me, and I thought this was a beautiful thing, is that she created a playlist of some of the saddest love songs
Yeah.
you could ever hear. And she said, all right, Gregory, I'm giving you 4 days. You can listen to this playlist, but in 4 days, you got to delete the playlist. And I thought that was a great thing because the thing we had in common is we both love music. And she said, you got 4 days. Listen to these sad songs, and after that, delete it. And then she sent me another playlist of like party music, right? And that was a small gesture, but it was really impactful because it's that paradigm shift that I'm not in darkness anymore. At any moment, I can decide to make the change that I want in my life. And if I want to decide to not be sad, guess what? Who's going to stop me? I don't have to be sad anymore because to suffer is a choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
To
And
suffer is a choice.
that's important that you said that too. Sometimes we romanticize love. I mean, romanticize the hurt, right? And
Hmm.
sometimes we'll stay there. If you want to be honest, we'll stay there because we like the extra attention we may be getting from our support team. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
Monica said she's 5 years in, and I think that she's in that long. I think it's important to highlight, Gregory, that sometimes people think that you go through 3, 4 sessions and you're healed, or they got this mindset. It don't, you know, once I understand it, what I'm going through, that I'm healed. But depending on what the hurt is, right? Whatever the act was, the act of betrayal or hurt, it can be lifelong, right? It could be 2 or 3 sessions, or it could be
Yeah,
most of your life.
yeah. It's very rare. I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've seen people have an immediate healing, and that's this road to this Damascus kind of moment where they have a revelation and life has changed. That's generally associated, that when I've seen it, when they come to close to death. They was like in a car accident. They thought they weren't going to come out of it alive, and then all of a sudden they said, "You know what? I'm not going to waste another single day. Life is too important." But generally, healing is invisible work. You don't see it tangibly. You feel it before you can actually see it. And so a lot of people give up because you don't see it, as though like you were going to the gym or you were painting a house or something like that. So people tend to give up too soon. Now, if you are serious about therapy and you're looking for results, there's a minimum of 6 months you got to commit to before you see any legitimate change. Anything under 6 months is information. After 6 months, it becomes application. And so I tell everyone, if you really want to see it with your eyes and people to notice it on the outside, you're going to have to do a minimum of 6 months of quality therapy, fully invested in doing the work. Anything before that is just information. After 6 months is
That's
application.
good. That's good. Can you see this comment right here from Monica? Yeah.
Yeah, it says you graduated. Wait, you graduate from 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then once a month. I've always have had a therapist because I can dump and I don't have to worry about it being repeated. Therapy is a relationship, and you do want to make sure you're with the right person. And so it is important that to understand and to know that you can change therapists, you can change coaches, because some therapists may be great for one season, but not great for another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Depending on the situation, maybe there's time you need a male perspective, a woman's perspective, a black man's perspective, a white woman's perspective. Sometimes, or someone that has a history or a background similar to yours, or someone that has experience to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So, depending on what your need is, it is important to make sure first you have the right person in front of you that's coaching you
Yeah,
along.
yeah. Monica said she's had 3, and that's important. Distinction. I'm going to say
That's
it
important.
could be simple as you don't want to get bored, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, it could be a
Hmm.
number of reasons that you want to change. So
Yeah. You know all your therapist tricks already. They don't ran through all their repertoire.
right.
And like, okay, I need something
Seasons
new
change.
now.
I like
Right.
this
Yeah.
comment right here because sometimes we can just get so attached to something that we refuse to try something else. And I get it, like therapy and counseling can be intense. They gotta tear down those walls and get inside and gain that trust. So doing that again can be like scary, right?
It
Yeah.
can be. Yeah. Because good therapy
Yeah.
hurts. You're absolutely right. I'm so glad you said that because a lot of people think therapy is just like, oh, we're just going to sip some tea and you're just going to confirm me and compliment me and tell me I'm a good person. No, therapy, it should be painful. They're going to put a mirror in front of you and say, this is where you're missing it. This is where you're fumbling. This is where you can do better. And you got to receive that, be mature enough and ready to receive that. And if you're not, you're
And
just wasting your money.
let's talk about that because it can be hard to receive that you need to do something different when somebody else hurt you. It can almost seem like
Hmm.
victim blaming if you want to be honest about it, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I have yet to see, and well, maybe rarely, but rarely have I seen a relationship end where only one party was to blame.
Yeah,
And what I mean by that is that even if the other person did the cheating and you was a good person, you ignored some red flags.
potentially.
You ignored some things, potentially, but I'm going to say 98% of the time your intuition is letting you know something's not cool here, and you're letting some things slide by. And so very rarely have I seen a situation where both parties were completely oblivious or innocent. And so even in that, even if you didn't do the dirt, you still had to take accountability of, why did I ignore the red flags? Why did I stay in this for too long? And then, why am I attracted to
Yeah.
this? Why did yeah, why does this type of personality I feel drawn to? Why does this excite me? Is this trauma bonding? Is this, some type of hurt from my past, and through them I think if I get affirmation from them, I can be healed.
Yeah.
Someone sent me a beautiful meme the other day that says, "He is not the love of your life. He is the wound that you're trying to heal." Right? Meaning that if you receive validation from him, or he accepts you, and vice versa, or she accepts you, then somehow you feel confirmed as a human being because this individual confirms you. And so that's also something you got to look into as
Yeah,
well.
that's good. That's good. Tamika said we have a choice to either continue to suffer or move forward. And and it's as simple as that, right? Sometimes you might look at it and say it's more to it. Of course, if you want to get into the details and the weeds, it is. But is that it? Is that support?
That's it. It is that simple, and it is that hard. It is that simple, and it is that hard. It is that simple. Sure enough, that is it. To suffer is a choice, and then we do have a choice to move forward or to stay where we are. It is that simple. However, the application of it is hard because you got to let go of those sentimental things. Um, you're moving into a new land where you don't know the language.
Yeah,
So, you grew up in a community, you grew up in a household that spoke a certain way, and now you got to move to a foreign land where they don't eat the way that you eat, they don't dance the way that you dance, they don't talk the way that you talk. But there's healing and safety over there, and you got to go there. And so it's a lot of fear there too.
yeah. Love Jones, my hometown. She says the mirror is the best. So I think you was talking about the mirror, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also the mirror is important because when people are speaking the language of healing but still have a heart of hurt, is a sign of victimhood. And a
Mhm.
lot of people like that martyr position where I hear this a lot, and it just really kind of bugs me when I hear it. So I ask people oftentimes, my first question whenever I get a new client is, if I can answer any question for you today, what would it be? And a lot of times I get the response that, how can I not care so much?
Oh man, that's one of the more popular ones I've heard too.
Yeah, yeah. How can I not be so nice, right? So you're already establishing that the rest of the world has something wrong with it, but you're the nice
Yeah,
person. It's everybody else's
yeah,
problem, right? And so that's that position of victimhood too, that a lot of people who speak this language of healing express. But no, you're a victim in disguise.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, mentally you're a
yeah.
victim.
Especially if you're the problem could simply be you let people run you over, and don't know how to
Hmm.
push back. You don't have healthy boundaries. It could be that right there. Yeah. Hey, let's
Yeah.
go to appreciate all the comments. They come in, and that's one of my favorite parts of the show. But let's go to a commercial, and after the commercial, we'll come back and um, continue the discussion.
Great.
Some view it as a form of empowerment or like a linguistic reappropriation, as some argue that it continues to carry the weight of oppression and should be done away with immediately. How does today's music, namely rap music, play a part in the use of such a derogatory word? We'll talk about that. As we know, rap music has an immense influence.
All right, we're back to part two, and that's just one of the many shows that's on Mogul's media platform. So, it's in the tagline of the video. Go check out Mogul Media, Mogul Global, and look. And there's a number of shows from cooking to self help to therapy to just a number
Business,
business
fashion.
fashion. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go
Yeah.
check out Mogul and shout out to Mika for putting that together.
Right. And I love that particular topic, the N word. That is the use of the N word and where we stand, and that is like an ever evolving conversation. It's an interesting one, and it's one conversation I love having with my friends, and it's just like a good conversation starter, and you get a lot of viewpoints on it. And so I
It's
know
one of
my position has evolved over the years over the use of the word, and it's just amazing how where people land these days.
those. Hey, yeah, good stuff.
Uh,
Good stuff. I don't know what Monica, what we were talking about right before the commercial, but she said it's the opposite. She said she calls it out. I don't remember. Do you remember what we were talking about?
can't remember what that applies to, but Monica, let
Oh,
us know.
I think it was the victimhood, maybe. I don't know. Monica, if you want to give us some clarity about what that comment was about, we'll make sure we'll address it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, hey, again, shout out to Tamika, Mogul TV Global. Appreciate you. Yeah.
As we talk about this language of healing, we got to talk about how it shows up, right? And so as people are talking on their platforms or in the book clubs or at church, you can hear people, and there's a couple of triggers or things that you can look for, signs you can look for, and that is number one, do they sound like they're jealous? Jealousy tends to be the most apparent sign that someone is still has a heart of hurt. Because why do you care that he bought his new wife a car and never bought you a car?
Yeah.
You know, so you have those signs of he never did that for me, but or she never acted like that when she was with me. That's a sign of jealousy. And so if there is any form of comparison, that's a sign that you're still hurt. There's a wound there that hasn't been healed, and so
Yeah.
you want to address that.
Hey, there was another one too. I want you to take a moment to talk about when we
Mhm.
talk about the language. Um, it's the one where it says, I took time to myself so that I can heal. And it doesn't mean necessarily that just because you took time to yourself that you actually heal. You could have took time to yourself because you were hurt, and rightfully so, but it may have
Mhm.
become a protection mode versus, hey, this is me working on me so that I can get back into the game.
Yeah, yeah. So you were by yourself because you were scared. I mean, that's really true. We go into hiding because we feel in some way inadequate to face whatever is out there. And so solitude is really a sign of tenderness or fragility. Like you feel fragile. That's why we go hide in a corner or we don't come out for days because you feel fragile, you feel weak. And again, I'll say this 100 more times I have to. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just that's just an observation. It's not a diagnosis. It's just this is just where you are today. That doesn't mean you're gonna be there next week or next month. It's just, but let's just be honest. You were hiding because you're fragile. And here's a truth that also I wish everyone could hear. That healing doesn't happen in solitude. It happens in community. You don't heal by understanding what happened to you. You get healed by having experiences that contradict what happened to you. So if you were betrayed, yeah. So if you were betrayed, you get healed by being around people who are trustworthy, right? And so you don't get healed just by understanding what happened to you. You get healed by having experience that contradict what happened to you. And that involves going out there and being in community.
Yeah. So I've heard it described as we talk about the solitude piece, that this
Hmm.
someone's in ICU, they isolate you for that moment. But it's not to
Yeah,
keep you right, it's to be diagnosed what the issue is. But after you're
right.
diagnosed, they do put you in a different environment so you can begin to grow. So yeah, the environment will change.
Absolutely.
You should not be staying in solitude.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I do think you do need to take a knee. You do need to take a beat, and you do need to have some time where you do just cry it out. You do just grieve whatever loss it may have been. And that's fair and that's fine. That's even healthy. But that is not the complete journey of healing. That's just the first step. That's just identifying pain, which you should do.
Yeah.
But that's a sign that you were just fragile in a moment. That's not a sign of healing.
Yeah.
No.
Good stuff, man. So let's hey, we getting close to wrapping up time, but we got a couple more comments, especially
Okay.
from Monica, some clarity about what she was talking about earlier. She said she addressed whatever. I don't hold back. I don't ask how to say anything or address something. I just do it. And you know what? Some in those moments there, that's wholly appropriate, right? Especially when you're around some people that, those type of people that take your kindness for weakness, or they try to set the environment to where you won't speak up or defend yourself. You see that a lot of times, Gregory, in
Mhm.
leadership from leaders, from toxic
Mhm.
leaders, where they'll
Mhm.
try to keep it or frame it where you're afraid to speak up and defend yourself. And you see it in relationships too, right? I've seen relationships where one makes things so toxic that you wouldn't dare bring other people around. You wouldn't dare challenge them for what they're doing. So it's important that you don't silence. You need to use your voice, because people will definitely take advantage of you if you don't.
You know what? Being your own advocate is one of the best things you can do for yourself. It really is. And because you know what it feels like to be you, and you can't let no one else tell you what that is. And so if you're feeling scared or hurt, misunderstood, misrepresented, say it. And if they can't understand it, then they have given you a gift. They have told you the truth, and truth is a gift. They don't honor you. And if someone doesn't honor you, that's the time for you to be on your way.
Yeah, yeah. And that, I was glad you said that, because there might be a situation where speaking out is not the most optimal or the right or the correct or easiest thing to do. So you might have to change environments, right? If it might be
Hmm.
a new job, new relationship, new friends,
Yeah.
whatever. So you can't be scared. Sometimes I can say you can't be scared. Scared is a natural feeling, but you got to be willing to change whatever that situation is.
Yeah, that is a choice to stay in that environment. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It might be difficult, but just something that you have to think about. So before I move on to that, just made me think about Dr. Ramani. She does a lot of work in narcissistic, other
Hmm.
personality disorders.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
she,
I love her. She's
yeah, man,
wonderful.
she's brilliant. She's very
Yeah.
brilliant. But she teaches people coping skills and techniques. If you do have to stay in these situations for whatever reason, it may be a religious region where you can't get divorced, or it may be kids. You might be waiting until the kids
Financial.
are older, but especially financial, right? So there are things that you can do sometimes, not all the time, where you can learn how to survive and deal with those situations until the time is right for you to make a move.
I'm glad you brought that up just real quick. And this is kind of off the subject, but on the subject. For women that are in domestic violence situations, you want to create a escape plan.
Yeah.
If you immediately leave, there's tends to be like a 90% chance that your predator will find you, and it won't end well, or you have to come back because you didn't plan it out. And I hate to even say this, but the greatest amount of success happens to women that kind of stay in that situation for a while and create a plan so that when they do leave, they can stay gone.
I think what you said is right. You probably just say stay for a while. You can take that part out, because
Hmm.
there are shelters, loved ones, and I know it can be embarrassing to even think you got to go to a shelter, but yeah, but you're right.
Oh.
Creating a plan, having a plan to leave can be the difference of you staying away versus having to come back.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff, man. I appreciate that. Monica said people started, and then when you say something and defend yourself, you're mean. She said she'll defend herself. You're right. You become the bad person when you speak out. So, but
Yeah.
your dignity is everything. So,
And that's a great point, Monica. We were talking about the language of healing, but the heart of hurt. If anyone doesn't respect your feelings, and but they claim to, or I hear you, or I care for you, but they don't do it in real life, they have a heart of hurt too. There's something there in them that doesn't want to embrace that other people have feelings as well. So they don't want to be responsible or accountable for managing, or not managing, but acknowledging, right, someone else's feelings as well, um, and their involvement in making that person feel that way. And so that again is another sign of someone who is, has a heart of hurt when they can't acknowledge someone
and
else's feelings.
you ain't gotta tell Monica what to do. She knows what she doing. Monica said I won't forget them folks. And before we close out and take you to you where you can give us our parting your parting words. This whole heart of hurt, we're not framing it like something is wrong with you.
Yeah.
People go through a number of things, whether it's mental, emotional, financial, or physical. You have to heal from that, right? So we're not saying you're a bad person or something's wrong with you because you haven't healed. We just encourage you not to stay there and use this language of healing and masking the hurt, because it's not good. It affects your quality of life, right? It affects the quality of life for people around you. And just want to make sure that I put that out there before we, punt it to you for your parting thoughts, that you're not a bad person because you need to heal.
Totally agree, 100%. As human beings, we're going to travel down so many different roads and have so many different opportunities. And guess what? You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. And what is important for us to know is to learn is how to manage the good days as well as the bad days. Here's the deal: why this is so important, because the Bible tells us that from the heart, the mouth speaks. And so whatever's coming out of your mouth is revealing what is in your heart.
Yeah.
And so your heart represents your life. So if your heart's not healthy, then your life is not healthy. And so we wanted to have this discussion, as Gerard just said, not to judge, not to criticize, not to put down, and definitely not to embarrass anyone that's having pain. But we are saying we want you to examine your heart first. And because we want everyone that watches the show to feel uplifted and motivated to know that they can live their best life. But to live your best life is an inside job. You have to do it for yourself. There's going to be some situations in life where you have to be your own savior. And this is one of those things. You can't fake it until you make it. You cannot fix what you can't face. You cannot conquer what you will not confront. You have to look at yourself and look at the pain and say, what do I do with this? Sometimes that's correcting yourself, and sometimes that's moving away to a different environment. But at the end of the day, it is important to know that pain is part of all of our lives, but pain does not have to direct our lives. And so if pain is directing your life, what I encourage you to do is take a moment, create a strategy of what you want your life to look like. And every day, do at least one thing that moves you to that direction. Because the most important person you ever love in life is yourself.
Yeah. Hey man, that's good as always, man. That was like some spoken word.
Thank you, sir.
Where's the live? We can get Monica on the show, man. Monica be coming with the heat. Monica, a few more comments from her. She said, yes, quick to flip it on you. That's true. It's the person that's doing the victimizing will all of a sudden become the victim when you're challenging them. But don't fall for it, right?
Yeah, that's how a narcissist is attacked. Like, why are you so upset? I just commented, I just said one tiny little thing and now you're exploding. No, if anyone doesn't validate your feelings as being real and authentic, they're not worthy of you. Move on. They're never gonna change. So just keep it moving.
Yeah, for sure. See that this is life, period. Everyone has hurt. So that was in response to us saying we're not blaming or trying to condemn anyone for going through the hurt. It's just part of it.
Never that.
Yeah. I'll let you take this one from Monica.
Life is a journey. If you haven't been hurt, keep living. As my granny used to say, it's going to happen. And sometimes it's for our good. Sometimes you need to touch the fire to know that it's hot so that you'll learn what not to do. And so whatever lesson that God in life is trying to teach you, learn it so you don't have to repeat it, because you keep repeating the same lesson until you learn it anyway. So try to learn it. The sooner the better.
Sooner the better. Yes, sir. And she said you can control the controllables, the things that you can control. Put the work in and take care of those right there.
100%. Monica, we need you on the show. Log in next week. Come on, talk to us.
Man. My boy Miracle, appreciate you for tuning in. Monica said preach, and I don't know what those fingers mean. Now I know a lot of people use them on social media, but hey.
I'm not that cool.
Yeah. Man, this was fun. Great first show back. I learned a lot from you as always, and I hope people out there on social media land did. But I'm gonna let you close us out, man.
Hey, it's great to be back, my friend. Listen, I love these conversations. They're real, relevant, and people can walk away applying it to life. And we want everyone to know. Listen, you got a place right here where you can let it off your chest and let us know what it is you want to talk about. Because the Floor is Yours podcast is exactly that. It is your podcast. So reach out to us. Keep those comments. Gerard and I, we do slide back into those comments, and you might just get a response from us as well. So hey. Leave us some comments even after the show, even if you're watching this 2 weeks later, a month later, even 2 years later. Keep the comments coming, keep the conversation going. Thank everyone so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Be here next week, next Thursday, 7:30 p.m. We're going to bring the fire again. We appreciate you. And until next time, peace.
Hey, real quick,
love.
wait,
Yep.
before you close it out, we know what
Yep.
those fingers meant.
What
You-
do they mean?
You see on screen, clock it. That's what I've heard.
Ah, okay. Okay. Gotcha. See, we keeping everybody cool too, hip and cool.
Yeah, that's it. Now go ahead and close us out, brother.
Everyone, hey, thank you so much. We couldn't do this without you because we want to do it for you. We want to be a blessing to you guys. So thank you so much. Until next time, peace, love, hair grease. We out.
Won't need another, this one here really do it for you. Baby,